I think the game is very fun. Me likey. It's Return to Dreamland. I gotta likey. I feel like I'm sworn under oath to love anything that's Return to Dreamland related. Except and all of the other fun minigames like Kirby on the Draw from Superstar Jet, Egg Catcher, Booming Blasters, best minigame ever, Checkerboard Chase, all of those are offline locked. I've talked about this so many times, so I'm gonna keep it brief here, but I hate the lack of online. It's 2023, downright embarrassing for a game not to have online. Not everyone can play offline multiplayer. This actively encourages piracy. All that good stuff, you've heard me say it, my thoughts haven't changed. With the minigames, they're an alright distraction by yourself, but with other people, I can't really speak for all of these games technically, but if nothing else, I think Bomb Rally and definitely Checkerboard Chase are top tier multiplayer experiences. We'll throw Kirby on the Draw in there too. Superstar Ultra Bias, you guys know how it is at this point. Not putting online in a multiplayer game just doesn't cut it anywhere, especially when you're remaking a game and charging more for it compared to the original release.
Whoops. Hello everybody, Claire Fluffle here, and it's been absolutely no secret whatsoever on this channel that I am not the biggest fan of Merry Magoland. I've played the mode with friends offline and had a great time, but that's basically where my positives end. I've been a negative Nancy, a Betty Bummer, a pessimistic puppy, whatever word you want to use. In my first impressions video, which I played before, go watch that video, I called it my least favorite thing about the entire game, and it just being here without a very obvious and very specific inclusion online was not a good thing. You know how I look at Alfred from Fire Emblem Engage? It's like that, but the complete opposite. I know that might sound a little bit weird right after the video where I said I liked Panette more than I liked him, but that's not the point. Lo and behold, when Return Deluxe came out and we all learned that Merry Magoland was also Merry Mission Land, please try and hold your laughter and applause, thank you. Initially, my impressions didn't change much. I was glad that the mode had more content than I figured it would, but it quickly became a chore clearing missions for minigames I didn't like, notably Samurai Kirby. I got to flex for a bit with Checkerboard Chase, which always fun, but the sentiment of, oh my good howdy wowdy, I wish I could play this game with my friends in the comfort of my room while they were also in the comfort of their own room because life is suffering and we are tired! Then, as the speedrunning meta began to develop, I saw some other Kirby runners, even more experienced ones, talk about routing a run for Merry Magoland. And listen, I may not like the mode, but I sure as heck love crazy category ideas like this, so I watched as the routing was developed and the time got lower and lower. Currently, at the time of this writing, just don't be too outdated, please. The world record is just over an hour and a half for single player and just over an hour 20 minutes for multiplayer. Speedrunning minigames just sounded way too silly for me to pass up, so without looking at any of the current runs, because I'm not a chump, just a dumb puppy instead, I did some practice and ran Merry Magoland 100 missions single player. And to be perfectly frank, it is the best Kirby speedrunning category in years. So in this video today, I am going to break down the run that I did and explain to you why the speedrun made Merry Magoland maybe one of my favorite things about Return Deluxe. I know, crazy character arc. Crazy Claire character arc. What am I doing? Some notes before we get started with the run, or rather the video, itself. First, time starts as soon as Merry Magoland is selected. You unlock it by clearing the second stage of the main game, so prior to that, you could kinda just do whatever you want, take as long as you want, that's not gonna affect your time. Personally, I like to mix for whatever ability I can get, unless it's Parasol, because using Parasol is painful. Again, watch my video, please, thank you! Second, if you fully completed Return Deluxe in the past, you may know that there are 120 missions, but to avoid the even worse than using Return DX Parasol pain of doing the last 20 missions, the goal is simply to clear the first 100. Think of it as any percent rather than hundo. Lastly, yet most importantly, if you like speedrunning, that's kind of my thing, so please consider helping out the channel by giving this video a like and ringing the notification bell after subscribing. It really helps. My videos have been very much underperforming recently. I would super appreciate it if you had a good time sticking around. And in the speedrun itself, we clear 100 missions, but we're short 50%, literally halfway there, to get a 100% subscription rate. The closer we get to that 100% mark, the closer we get to wiping that smug grin off of Magolor's greedy, money-hungry face. Speaking of money, though, if you want to see videos like this one early, on top of tons of other perks, check out my Patreon in the description. It's a fun, rootin' tootin' old time. You'd even be thanked in the videos directly, like I'm about to thank Biohazard and Dips Fiora for being head-patting Fluffle fan patrons. Love you guys! And I think that covers it for now. Let's get started! Once we have Merry Magoland unlocked proper, we have a couple of little things to get out of the way first. Notably, talking to Magolor and finding a sticker of Magolor. See a common denominator here. Anyway, after that, we can start the minigames proper, and I figured Samurai Kirby would be the best one to get out of the way first. Not all of the missions, mind you, but I'll get back to that later. For now, we just clear it on easy and normal, which isn't too bad. None of the missions that require anything below the highest difficulty are particularly hard, but once we clear those two difficulties, we can unlock Samurai Kirby 100. Look, there's that online mode that I've been whining about so much. And I still hate it. I hate it so much that, instead of using the online functionality, I just turn online off. But there is a reason for this. When you play with people online, you risk finding people with really good reaction times. It can be really hard placing in the top 20, and that is the only mission for Samurai Kirby 100, or SK as I'll be calling it from now on. I speedrun Kirby, now I'm speedrunning words, okay? Jokes aside, if you can turn off the online and play SK100, you can do really badly and still place in that top 20. My reaction time is about as good as— Ow! Ow! That hurt! Why you gotta throw stuff at Puppy? Stuff like— oh my god, Magolor? Someone's got a sick, twisted sense of humor around here. You're gonna throw Magolor at me. Owes me like $150 for Kirby Clash. Point being, turning the online off makes this mission an absolute joke. But for a time save that's even funnier, check it out. Before going online and playing SK100 proper, you need to clear a round of practice mode. This really amounts to nothing and doesn't even count for the mission, but when you do well in SK100, Kirby clears past all of the other Kirbys, you get a better time then. Now, if you have a big, massive brain like I do, you'll think of what I did. Do poorly, you skip the animation of Kirby going, ha! So how much time does this exactly save? Yeah, it barely saves anything, but it's genuinely funnier than anything I've seen in a Kirby speedrun since— oh, okay, it actually hasn't been that long since I've seen something that funny, but still. Before moving on, I want to talk about why I'm playing these minigames in the order I'm playing them in. SK doesn't only come first because I don't like it, you know. The order entirely comes down to one simple reason, or a series of reasons. Every minigame has a mission revolving around wearing a certain mask. Using SK as an example, you need to wear the Waddle-Doo mask. You don't start with any of the required masks, and SK is as good of a place to start as any, right? And the teeny tiny reason that we know as a SK100. That helps too. The less I have to think about that mode, the better. But with that, we are done with Samurai Kirby! Yay! But we have to go back to it later! No! I actually miscalculated since I changed my routing spur of the moment mid-run, and I actually wound up missing a mask for the next minigame. Whoops. Assuming I did everything right, though, we'd have actually a couple of options for what to do next. It's no big deal. It's my first run, copium, whatever. In my routing, I wasn't going to be some kind of punk who wouldn't immediately jump at the chance to play a minigame from the greatest game ever made, Superstar Ultra, so we went there next. I really do love Superstar Ultra. I've actually been thinking about shifting my speedrun focus to that game as of recent. I was a runner for the Kirby speedrunning relay race back in April, and I ran Great Cave Hundo. I got last place, unfortunately, but only by 2 or 3 minutes. And unlike everybody else who was very experienced, I had only ran it for a month, and Actually, no, not a month. It was actually only 2 weeks. I was really unexperienced, but I did my best, and I think I got a pretty good time. It was very comparable to everybody else. A couple minutes is not bad. The rest of Superstar Ultra is fun, too, with modes... Huh? What happened? Wait, where am I? Who am I? Yeah, we're talking about Merry Magoland. Yeah, right. So, Kirby on the Draw, or KOTD, because I'm a lunatic, from Superstar Ultra, best game ever. Did you know that Answer the Speedrunning Relay works differently in this game due to there not being a touchscreen? Your only real option when speedrunning without a webcam is with regular controls, and while webcam speedruns are typically some of the most hypest thing ever seen, and would allow for KSSU-style touch controls, I've got a channel to run here, so we're using a controller. It's fine, though. I hear a lot of people say the KOTD missions are really tough, but most of the time, they don't cause too many problems for me. This is actually the easiest part of the run, I think. I've played the original game so much, evidently, so experience probably has something to do with that. That said, if I'm paying too much attention to chat, and by that I mean any moniker of attention because I love chat so much and I get easily distracted, I fail the Don't Hit the Bomber mission a clean 100% of the time. It's really sad, but honestly, it's pretty funny when it happens. That being said, there is one kind of mission that can be a bit, grindy. See, every minigame has a mission where you need to do X thing Y amount of times. And before anyone goes, ew, math, we're already clearing 100 missions, and 100 is a number, numbers are math, you're fighting a losing battle already? Anyway, to use an example, in KOTD, you need to hit 200 targets. This can typically be done in 4 or 5 rounds, despite that number sounding really high. Ideally, you don't want to spend too much time in these mini-games. This is a speedrun and all, so how do you get these without wasting time? That's something we'll, again, get into a little later, mostly since it doesn't actually apply to the next game we'll be playing. So far, though, things have been pretty simple, but we haven't made much progress in terms of clearing missions. Don't get me wrong, nearly 20 out of 100 is not bad. If I had $10 for every mission we cleared, I'd almost have enough money for 1 gallon of gas. But seeing as how we have 8 minigames left, on top of other things to do, one of the challenges of the run winds up being the simple act of just keeping track. What you have done, what haven't you done, what you need to come back for, leaving a like and subscribing to the channel after ringing the notification bell. Oh, wait, we did that bit already, right? Well, it's fine, I did it again, because I like that bit. Speaking of things I like, Superstar Ultra may be the best game ever made, but it isn't the only good game ever made. Case in point, Amazing Mirror's game is what we're doing next, that one being Crackety Hack, or CH if you want to sound like a snob, or K if you want to sound funny, or a weirdo, potato, if you know what I mean, right, fellas? Is a very simple minigame that is bizarrely difficult. And for the record, I don't mean level 1. Getting over 900 points on level 1 is easy for a pro puppy like me, and for most other people, but level 2 is actually kind of tricky. You need to do this perfectly. Literally, the mission is to do this perfectly. And it's not impossible, and is thankfully so short that a retry should only cost 15 to 20 seconds, but nailing this on the first attempt is very important. It feels good, and as the speedrunning saying sparks, no time loss, no good. Citation needed. But the level 3, or hard mode, mission is where things get spicy. So the long and short of it is that you have to win twice in a row. And sure, winning twice in a row on level 3 is tough, but it's still manageable enough. That said, the grindy mission rears its ugly head once again, requiring a grand total of 5,000 points or more. But galaxy brain it for a sec. Assuming that you get around 950 for easy mode, and the required 999 for normal, that would leave you close to 1,950 points. Not exact, but close. We'll round up because I just want to keep things simple, okay? You'd only need between about 3,000 to 3,200 points to get to 5,000. And while that is a lot, come on! I told you to Galaxy Brain it. Or I don't know, Galaxy 2 Brain it. I like that game a lot. It's really good. When you lose in any of the minigames, at least on the hardest difficulty, upon retrying, the AI will do worse. Yes, the game rubber bands you, and it rubber bands you hard. But Claire, you may be thinking, or screaming, or typing in the comments, just anything will do. Can you tell how desperate I am for more engagement? Wouldn't losing take up time in a speed run? And while you would normally be correct, the grindy mission can actually work out perfect for us. Here's an example of what I mean, once again, using mathematics. You're fighting the losing battle if you aren't a math kid. I'm sorry, but not really, because I'm a math kid. Assume we get the minimum requirements exactly for the previous missions, 900 and 999. We round down for funsies this time. 900 plus 999 equals 1,899. We have to win twice in a row on level 3, and the CPUs on level 3 are tough. So let's assume we need to get 975 both times. 975 times 2 equals 1,950. Add that to 1,899, and you get 3,849. Keeping up, we're gonna round that down to 3,800 just to be on the safe side. 5,000 minus 3,800, the number we just got, is 1,200. If we divide that by 2, that's 600. So if we can get over 600 points 2 games in a row and lose, which we will, there is no way a hard level 3 CPU is going to get anything less than 800, and then win 2 games in a row, we can unlock that pesky 5,000 total score mission and clear them all in one go. No, really, it's the 5,000 total score. That's the name of the mission. They got creative with some of these. But would that be worth it compared to, theoretically, just getting perfect scores and leaving it there? Well, 999.99, the highest score you can get, times 5 equals... Oh my god, that's so much. Oh my god, okay, it equals... Okay, deep breaths. Deep puppy breaths. Think about puppies. Okay. 999.99 times 5 equals 4,999.95. You are literally 1/100th of a nickel short of getting to 5,000 in 5 games. So why bother forcing yourself to be perfect when you can just lose twice, get your points, and work towards making the win twice on level 3 way easier? Sure, you're losing a little bit of time on 50 stamps, but crackety hack of all things, it's not going to affect you that badly. So while it's pretty obvious that I'm trying to keep this video moving along when I'm not losing myself in a fit of laughter, another thing that makes this run such a blast is the pacing of it. Most of these minigames won't last much longer than a minute, and since there's 10 of these suckers, that means there's tons of variety. There's another perk of speedrunning, lovely viewers. Having played all of these minigames with friends, I do feel like some of them can get old a little quickly, mostly SK, but in the speedrunning sense, they all feel super fresh and exciting since you not only need to win, but clear missions. It's really fun. Except SK, but whatever. With that, we move on to the next game in the series, represented by Merry Magoland, Smash Riders from Squeak Squad. This minigame is really fun, and while the touch controls are sorely missed, the buttons on a controller do the job perfectly fine. What isn't perfectly fine are the missions. These are pretty darn tough, and outside of SK, I say these are the hardest. Of course, the level 1 mission is a total joke, but specifically the level 3 mission, Defeat the Squeaks, where you defeat all the Squeaks, is brutal. In fairness, I feel like at least one of them always shows up, so it isn't much of a matter of RNG, it's more so being a matter of being the one to knock them out. The CPUs are just bloodthirsty on really all level 3s, but especially this one, and unlike crackety hack, intentionally losing isn't the biggest time saver. The mission of knocking out 70 rivals, it's not the worst thing in the world, especially if you can grind on a lower difficulty, but you really want to avoid specifically grinding whenever possible. In theory, this one is possible to do in 3 rounds, but you'll likely need to clear it in 4. Again, I will get to more of the specifics on how that's not a total grind fest a little later. And while most of the other missions are very easy, I do want to vent for a little bit about this darn Squeak mission because it's so hard. Taking out the little babies, fine, although when I say it like that, I feel like I should be arrested or something, but the actual Squeaks you need to take care of can be a total nightmare. This Spinny isn't so bad, but unlike the Squeakers, no, I am not calling them babies anymore, I have some standards around here, Spinny can move pretty far pretty quickly, or at the very least, quickly enough. And enough is all that matters, because if you manage to knock out Doc and Storo, and then Spinny moves just barely out of reach and you fail the mission, you have to start over, which costs you 60 seconds bare minimum, because Doc and Storo are definitely more annoying to hit than Spinny, but they don't feel as bad, at least to me. I feel like I have an easier time hitting Doc than either of them, if I'm being honest, but maybe it's just because, again, at least to me, he feels more predictable. He moves more erratically, but he's way slower. Well, I actually don't know if he's slower or not. I don't know enough about Smash Ride. He feels that way to me, though. It could just be confirmation bias. I'll make myself feel better and pretend that's a fact for now, though. As for Storo, I don't need to explain this one. Look what happens when you hit him with a full charge. It doesn't even send him halfway across the screen. And then you are about to hit him and clear the mission, the crowd cheering, and everything's coming up Millhouse. Then Day-to-Day or somebody just knocks you out of the way, and someone else knocks down Storo, and he doesn't come back for the rest of the mission. You have to try again. I should point out that multiplayer for Merry Magoland, including the speedrun, is an option. As many people know, you can just plug in multiple controllers and cheese every single one of these games with remarkable consistency. And get it? I'm talking about cheese because they're mice. I'll be here all week. Also, you can't cheese Samurai Kirby because Mangler hates me. But I wanted to get at least one single-player run in there because it's free content. How am I going to pass that up? But more importantly, I wanted to actually learn some of the strats for these mini-games in a single-player setting to give me a better idea of how they all worked. Having enough controllers might also be an issue. My Joy-Cons recently haven't been working as single controllers anymore. So even with that GameCube controller that I always fawn over, would really only be 3. But I've probably got other controllers lying around somewhere. I don't know. I don't feel like looking. I think we're good to get back to minigames and go over one of the 2 new ones added to Return Deluxe. Booming Blasters. Or BV. Kind of weird saying it like that, all things considered, but I get some good puns out of this, so... Oh, BB a triple! People seem to really love this mode, but for the sake of the 100 mission speedrun, it gave me a really hard time. And for once, even level 1 kinda turned out tricky. I'm falling off hard. I'm washed up. I can't even clear a level 1 mission anymore. My time to shine is over, and now I'm wallowing in Merry Magoland. Tickets only $4.99, but when you run out of stamina, you have to pay more. When clearing these missions, it's best to clear as many as you can on level 1. It just makes sense to do as much as you can when the game is at its easiest. And this is why speedrunners opt to play games on lower difficulties. Sure, it isn't as a pro gamer, but it's more consistent. Anyways, for BB, we can clear a few missions on level 1. Now play it for the first time, wear the Suzy mask, make progress towards clear all difficulties. It's surprisingly efficient. But in our little BB's case, we would also like to clear Super Shot, Double Hits, and Overhead Shot Master. SSDH isn't so bad, aside from these abbreviations getting way out of hand, but OSM took me way too long to get. It's not that overhead shots take very long to begin with, but even on level 1, the AI just doesn't like getting hit by these. It makes enough sense, I guess, and will move out of the way more often than not. And again, it's good for lots of things, just not for me trying to speed through these missions. It's the opposite, actually. It's very sad. It made me sad. And I never got better. Most of the rest of the missions are simple enough, even the half-health level 3 one. Although it took me forever this run. Oops. But the scariest mission BB has to offer is 30 total hits. It's easy to explain, just boom, 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 an enemy 30 times. What's for dinner? Wait, 30 times? Enemies have 4 HP each. There are 3 enemies. 4 times 3 is 12. Oh, no, this is a mission we can clear in one go. Let me level with you all. These are the absolute worst. Not because they save a lot of time, but because... Actually, no, that's exactly the reason. They save a lot of time. Huh. See, level 1 and even level 2 to an extent are easy enough to get 10 or 11 hits on, but if we want to be as fast as possible, we need to finish level 3 with around 10 or so hits, meaning enemies can only hit other enemies twice, and we need to finish with 2 or more HP. This is really, really hard. Not only did the actual HHOL3 mission... Sorry, that acronym, good God. Mission take a long time, but I didn't even wind up getting the 30 hits mission cleared. Ugh. But do you want to know the worst part? It actually had nothing to do with Baby. Finally, I can stop calling everything Baby. I'm already parasocial enough being a VTuber, jeez. Anyway, the worst part was how badly I messed up the routing with the next minigame, Egg Catcher. And no, I'm not talking about how I got consistent catches on level 2, lost by mistake, and forgot that I actually had to win for the clear all difficulties mission. That wound up fixing itself, but I shouldn't have even done Egg Catcher at all. See, one of the extra missions, not in the final 20, so we actually have to do these, is clear 50 stamp rallies. This requires a lot of grinding, and out of all of the attractions Merry Magoland has to offer, Egg Catcher is the fastest. I should have saved Egg Catcher until the literal very end, but I didn't, and that wasted a good chunk of time. Thankfully, Egg Catcher itself isn't so bad. Catch 20 eggs on level 3, yeah, it takes a few tries, but the context of its difficulty changes drastically when you realize you have a good 15 to 20 minutes worth to get it done. The grind fest at the end really does take that much time, I'm not kidding. But since Egg Catcher is so simple, it could be worth looking into other game modes to grind stamps out for. Yeah, but they're all too slow. They really don't compare to how simple and fast Egg Catcher is. The closest you get to Egg Catcher's speed is Crackety Hack or Bomb Rally, and maybe Booming Blasters, and not BB if you use multiplayer strats. Neither of them still wind up being faster than Egg Catcher, so it winds up being the best. You know, I'm not actually talking about Egg Catcher that much. It is a really fun game, but there's just not much to say on it. I guess if we're gonna stick to the stamp talk, level 2 seems to be the most consistent one to grind on. You see, as the difficulties go higher, things like the speed the eggs are thrown at and the pattern of the eggs being thrown become faster and more difficult. Makes sense? And while level 3 would technically get you the most rewards, it's really hard to get right consistently. Level 1 is way too slow, level 3 is way too fast, and level 2 is just right. I really hope I get someone watching this who thinks that's a reference to Puss in Boots and not the actual fairy tale. That would be hilarious. So assuming we didn't do Egg Catcher at all, what would we do next? Very early on, we actually do get the Adeline mask, but I wanted to put Checkerboard Chase off as much as possible. Not because it's bad, mind you, it's actually my favorite minigame in the whole series. It's for that precise reason, though, why I like putting it off. I know I'm really good at it, no matter what, so if I do it late when my fatigue is starting to build up, I know it won't matter. Unfortunately, there isn't much else to do at this point, what with our current mask predicament. God, why did I word it like that? So Checkerboard Chase it is. I'm not abbreviating this one because Checkerboard Chase is really fun to say. And what is CC anyway? Credit card? Yeah, I'd like to make this payment using my Checkerboard Chase. Get out of here. Checkerboard Chase is also unique in how we need to clear 4 difficulties compared to 3. That makes sense, there were 4 difficulties for it in Kirby 64 and all. In theory, this means we can get the 50 total rivals dropped mission, but we only have 10 drops worth of wiggle room to work with, and as I keep saying, we have something upcoming that can make missing this a non-issue, so it's all fine. All of the missions here are related to the difficulty as well, the Adeline mask notwithstanding. Easy's is very simple, just drop 5 or more rivals in one game and you're golden. Normals is also not so bad, although definitely harder, at least as a speedrunner who focuses way too much on her chat. Hard is insane. Winning within 1 minute on a game that isn't that fast is really tough and is very reliant on aggression. Knocking out multiple enemies at once certainly helps, and this being hard mode, the AI definitely starts to aggro it up, but the simple fact of the matter is that a minute is a really long time for a game like this. I don't want to call it slow, or at least call it slow in a negative pretense, but you need to be out for blood when doing this. It didn't take me too long, but it's the only one for Checkerboard Chase that I needed to retry for, including the intense mission. Surviving for 30 seconds is as far removed from difficult as you can get, even if the last 2 seconds are pretty consistently the most stressful. I'd also argue that Checkerboard Chase is the most deep and complex of these mini-games, and it's not particularly close. Sure, it's not hard to understand or anything, but the actual strategy that goes into playing it well, both single and multiplayer, is insane. For the sake of the speedrun, the key for playing quickly is to knock someone out as quickly as possible. It makes the board smaller, thus enemies are easier to knock out since they have nowhere to run. And when Puppy has her sights on you, you're dead, kid. It's also nice if you can set it up to where you can knock out 2 or even 3 enemies at once, but that's more situational. Especially early on, you can't always do that, but if you can, hey, it's fantastic. All of the minigames have a reasonable amount of depth and strategy to them, to be fair, but it's around this point where we hit a brick wall in a larger sense. We obviously don't want to waste very much time, but we don't have any masks that can help us with missions. We can grind stamp sheet stuff to help out here, but again, that's time in a speedrun. They go together like something good and something bad. So creative. And thankfully, I can finally talk about that thing I keep saying that we're gonna get back to, and that thing being Magoland Tours. If you've played Kirby Battle Royale, which you probably haven't, but you should, that game rules, you have a good idea of what Magoland Tours are. You play 4 of the minigames in a row, and whoever has the most points in the end, divvied out depending on how you placed in each, is declared the winner. And yes, playing these does count towards mission progression, which is why it's no big deal if we have to play some of these games one more time. We have to play them for the Magatours anyway, as I like to call them anyway, so what's the harm? The only thing that's stopping this from being really consistent is that they're all chosen at complete random. If this was Battle Royale, it wouldn't be so bad, since you can play all of the games in one Battle Royale, as it were, but Magatours only lets you pick 4 at complete random. Getting an exact pattern of 4 is very unlikely, and you'd also rather not get some of the longer games like Samurai Kirby or Ninja Dojo, but, well, Ninja Dojo is a specific case, we'll talk about that one later, but at the end of the day, Magatours is a very fast yet somewhat unreliable resource. Still, 1 is enough, and I managed to put the level 1 Magatour to good use. I should probably just clear all 3 difficulties while I'm here, but now that we have a new mask unlocked, I'd rather go play the next attraction in Magalore's Merry Misery, Magalore's Tome Trackers. And this has nothing to do with the speedrun, and it's a pretty hot take from what I imagine, but the music for this is actually my favorite of the new tracks for Return Deluxe. It's such a cute arrange, and I love when Magalore starts panicking because his mustache summons dozens of books at once. What, do you have a better explanation for this happens? And it speeds up Mario Kart style. This is so pleasant, and it's so cute. I love it. The subgame itself is very straightforward in terms of the missions, but they can all prove fatal. 5 tomes in a row and not getting anything wrong is all well and good as long as you play on level 1, but getting 7 of the Mustache Magalore Mustard Manuals is hard specifically because 7 is kind of a big number given how little time you have to work with, and still, it's manageable, although I did actually lose this one in a really sad manner once. It was in a practice run that I don't have the footage for anymore, so tragically I don't have the footage to back it up, but I had 6 books and nearly 10 seconds to go, and then I just completely choked and I didn't get a single other one. It was really bad. 18 points on level 3 is probably the biggest contrast in the whole run of "this sounds easy" to "this is brutal." In the first half, I genuinely only plan around getting 4 points. It's no use trying to get any more because the level 3 AI, again, is out for blood. Even more than me. I know, just look at me. I'm so brutal. Bloodhounds move over. But I've only gotten 6 or more points a small handful of times, and I doubt it's possible to do that consistently. That said, since I plan around only having 4 points for Magalore's Panic Attack Trackers, that leaves me with 14 points to go, or 7 of those gold books. Hey, just like level 2. Crazy how that worked out. It's still really hard to get this, but as long as I can nab 2 of them in 1 or 2 of the frenzies, I typically end up fine. And worst case, if I do lose, that goes towards the 100 total points mission. So it isn't all bad, especially since getting higher than 30 points on even level 1 makes you sound like a total loony. It may sound kinda weird to have this be a segue this deep into the video, but considering I genuinely didn't think the video itself even would be this long, I guess now's as good of a time to go over what makes this such a fun speed game. The variety is definitely the reason I'd need to explain the least. If you do want an explanation, go back, rewatch the whole video up to this point, and then continue. I can wait, done waiting. But a hidden factor that I think really helps this mode is that it absolutely wasn't intended to be played quickly. But, and this is important, all of the pieces are there. There's an objective with 100 missions. Everything is laid out for you immediately. Strats are consistent. Routing has limitless potential since everything is unlocked from the start. All the minigames are unlocked from the start. And there's even multiplayer strats that break the meta into tiny little pieces. And yes, there's legitimately a meta for every single one of these minigames. Well, I mean, I guess, okay, maybe not Egg Catcher, but the rest have strategies that can help consistency, and they all have this big risk-reward factor. It's just the sheer hilarity, all right, of speedrunning a minigame mode called Merry Magoland that couldn't be bothered to put online in there outside of SK100, which is a single button, and Magalore's Fun Facts of all things, which makes it super fun. I don't know, it's so goofy, guys. Where do you draw the line here? When do you look at a speedrun and think, yeah, that's enough? Because we're still not that close to being done here. But hey, if we're talking about things that take a little while, this is a perfect transition into the slowest game of the bunch, Ninja Dojo. Again, I don't mean that in a bad way. Return Deluxe actually got me very fond of Ninja Dojo, but for the sake of the speedrun, it could definitely drag on a little bit. This can't even be moved to earlier in the run since the mask required for this is Bandana D, and it takes a while to unlock that one. It's definitely the most time consuming, but on the bright side, it at least has a fair amount of downtime for you to catch your breath. And, you know, keep up with chat if you're doing that sort of thing. Ninja Dojo is also unique in that it has actual names for its difficulties, not just sorting by level 1 or the standard easy, normal, hard. It has Apprentice, Warrior, and Master, which all sound way cooler than they have any right to be. I blame Fire Emblem specifically for Warrior sounding so cool. And while the mission for Apprentice is relatively harmless, the mission for Warrior actually does have some RNG in it, in how you need to hit a bullseye on a target that Magolor is ferrying around. Now, Magolor isn't rare or anything, you know, he's got to plaster his face all over his theme park, Mickey Mouse style, but there is a reasonable chance at least he doesn't show up at all. This isn't ideal, but it's still not that bad because of the biggest problem with Ninja Dojo, the grindy mission. 30 total bullseyes. Let me break this down for you. Apprentice gives you 3 targets. Warrior gives you 5 targets. And Master gives you 10. Assuming you get all bullseyes on every single one of these, and you have to play Warrior twice because Magolor cucked you NTR style for some extra gem apples, that's still 7 bullseyes that you need to get, which basically amounts to another round of Master. And this is assuming that you get this down perfectly, no mistakes, which you most likely won't because Ninja Dojo can be really, really tricky. The Master mission of getting over 1,000 points, amusingly called Amazing 1,000 Points on Master, is also tough, but not for the reasons that you would think. As long as you can get a couple of bullseyes in a row, which very easily can be done in the first 3 to 5 targets depending, you have that 1,000 point target met very easily. The hard part comes from how unforgiving Ninja Dojo is. If you miss a target, or a Gordo blocks your shuriken, or anything isn't hitting the target, you have to start from the beginning. It's devastating, and while not the end of the world given you can play Ninja Dojo and Magatories, you still want to clear it just so you can make progress towards clear all missions. 3 rounds of Apprentice or 2 rounds of Warrior definitely take less time than 1 full game of Master, if only due to how much easier the targets are to hit in those. Ninja Dojo may be unforgiving, but it manages to simultaneously be the most intense part of the run while still having those moments of downtime, notably in between targets. This isn't a long progress per se, but compared to the other minigames, which are all go, 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 this one gives you the most time to breathe. In a speedrun, this is important. We're only human after all, and having to go try hard for at least an hour and a half is exhausting and mentally taxing, if you prefer that terminology. There's a capitalist Magolor joke in here somewhere, but we're so late into the video. Making fancier edits is mentally taxing! Ayy! Having any time to breathe at all is important to the enjoyment of a speedrun, and Ninja Dojo somehow manages to make those moments intense. I know at least my chat was on the edge of their seats during the Master Ninja Dojo for the highs and the lows. Also, Ninja Dojo abbreviated is just which, I don't know, sounds very funny to me. Speaking of abbreviations though, once we're done with Ninja Dojo, we do have to face reality and remember that SK was never finished. We should have the Waddle-Doo mask by now, so we can go ahead and clear that mission, as well as my least favorite mission in the whole game. It's basically just clear level 3 without messing up, which is nothing too bad, but SK is all about reaction time. And for reasons that I'd rather not get into, reaction time is something that I've never had. The Magolor joke from before, I mean, it was a joke. I would react much sooner to Magolor specifically, but it's still not very good. The saddest part is that, compared to the Superstar games, hard mode is really easy. In those, the lowest difficulty required a reaction time faster than 11. That or 13, I don't remember. I don't like SK. Here, Meta Knight only requires a time of 16 or lower, which is a problem because mine average out between 18 to 20. The good news here is that the grindy mission requires winning 30 rounds, and we've only so far cleared 10. So if I can make it to Meta Knight, lose, and then makes things easier on my retry since the game rubber bands, by 1 second. Yeah, not much. So Meta Knight would go from a 16 to a 17, 18, etc. But the 1 second part isn't the catch. here's the catch. You actually have to make it to Meta Knight to make his time go down. Or up, whatever. And guess who lost to Magolor? Multiple times! This wound up wasting... Oh my god, this wasted so much time. And, like, honestly, in the future, I might just do the mission at the start to get it over with, because doing it this late in the run was absolute misery. The Merry Magoland in general is basically... Fight. Oh, it's Samurai Kirby. SK over! Fun. Looking at the run itself, it's honestly kind of funny, this contrast, while I'm not running it, but when I am, oh, it's a pain. Luckily, we have something far less intense up next, another Magator. This one is a level 2, as one of the missions is to clear every single Magator difficulty and place first. Level 3 is the only reasonably difficult one, and I could do these earlier in the run just to get them out of the way. You unlock it after clearing 20 missions, so it's not like it would be that late in the run or anything. But for the sake of having to memorize things, for me at least, as somebody who's running this for the first time, it's just easier for me to split them up like this. Today's time loss is tomorrow's time save, like all the kids say when they go to amusement parks. Or, was it all the things that speedrunners say when they mess up? No, maybe it was the first one? I don't know, thinking is hard. At this point, we've not only been getting a ton of work done in Magoland, but we've also been getting these nifty little items that we can use in the actual game. This is important as 2 of the base 100 missions actually revolve around using these things. Thankfully, one of them is an ability mixer, which grants you wing. We're like 40 minutes into the video and I'm only now self-promoting. Okay, I wrote that in the script. Haven't I self-promoted like 3 times? The long scripts are weird, but if you want to know why Wing is one of the best abilities in the series, in Return Deluxe specifically, check out my copy ability Spotlight on Wing. It's a hoot. But this part of the run is pretty simple, just going through Cookie Country 1 with Wing, it's all pretty standard. And honestly, at this point, the run's very straightforward. After clearing the level, it's just doing Magator 3 and grinding in whatever minigames we have left. I did really good and got a first try victory in Magator 3. Congratulate me, everybody. But even all jokes aside, it was really nice. I've had practice sessions where that sucker goes up to 3 or 4 attempts. It is a nightmare. My winning secret, so to speak, is to not just mash the A button and actually look to see what the games are that we have to play for Magator 3. Strategy in a speedrun? Blasphemy. And with Magator out of the way, we just have a minigame grinding left to do. Any missions I wasn't able to finish, we can knock out of the way before playing Egg Catcher a bunch. Huh, that's weird. My list of completed missions actually looks kind of low at this point. I kind of expected it to be a little higher. I wonder why... Oh my god, I forgot about Bomb Rally. Yeah, you know, a bizarre move. I somehow forgot about one of my favorite minigames in the whole series. It's definitely my second favorite game included here, with only Checkerboard Chase coming out on top above it. Actually, maybe also Kirby on the Draw, I don't know. But, yeah, Bomb Rally, or BR, which I'll call it to not only make narrating this insanely long video ever so slightly easier, but also because BR can stand for Battle Royale, like Kirby Battle Royale, a game I really like. I made a 3DS games tier list recently, and that legit wound up being my number 3 game for it. I wish more people played Battle Royale. It's so much fun. But as for the relevant BR, I've always loved this one, even back when I played Nightmare in Dreamland as a kid. Something was just so simple and enjoyable about it, compared to Quick Draw, which is SK, and even Air Grind, which I always thought would be more like Air Ride, but it wasn't. I will say that coming to Return Deluxe, I think it's a little weird that pressing B isn't what sends the bombs backwards. It's pressing A when the bomb isn't near you, but it doesn't take long to get used to. For the sake of both clearing the missions casually as well as the speedrun, it didn't bother me. I still think B is better, but I'm open-minded. I mean, I sure hope I'm open-minded. Like, look, I am an anime puppy girl splattered all over the screen multiple times. If I wasn't, that would kinda be a problem. As for the part of Bomb Rally that I forgot, the missions are all super easy, which makes it even funnier that I forgot it. Once I remembered to put on the Nightmare Mask, because I forgot to do that too, it's just a matter of getting a lot of smash hits, hitting the bomb lots of times, winning only using reverse hits, easy stuff. The only hard one for Bomb Rally is winning twice in a row on level 3, but similarly to stuff like KOTD and Checkerboard Chase, I've played so much of Bomb Rally that I have the general idea down for winning twice in a row. I messed this one up a lot on my first casual playthrough, but since practicing it for the speedrun, I can get it pretty consistently. And from there, yeah, we just play Egg Catcher over and over and over until we reach 50 stamps. A pretty anticlimactic ending to the run, but considering it's so high energy for almost the entire thing, I do really like that it ends on this low, suave note. And I mean, there's still lots of funny things that can happen with Egg Catcher. You can get a perfect, you can just barely miss a perfect, you can inhale a bomb by mistake, wonder where your life went wrong, stuff like that. At the end of the day, though, yeah, run's over. I can rest easy now knowing that I played my heart out and got a final time of 2:06:37. Oh my god, the world record is like 35 minutes less than that. I guess this is what happens when you think of new ideas after routing. And don't follow your routing. And mess up your routing multiple times. But hey, the windscreen is nice. I'll definitely be running this game more in an attempt to get my PB lower and lower. But for the sake of this video, I think I've said everything I wanted to say. This run is outstanding for so many reasons, and I genuinely haven't had this much fun speedrunning a Kirby game that's been released in years. It's not my favorite category ever or anything. I am actually personally partial to ability solos in really any of the Kirby games, both for any percent and the boss rushes, but comparing this specifically to the Kirby games that we've gotten recently, Dream Buffet, Fighters 2, Kirby Clash, Forgotten Land, even Star Allies, this is just so much fun. A constantly changing whirlpool of energy and emotions that you slowly but surely, or, well, quickly and efficiently, I guess, move your way through to get all 100 missions. It's given me a new appreciation for this mode that, from day one, I kinda had it out for. It's genuinely made me think much higher of Return Deluxe in general. My biggest issue with it was Merry Magoland, and while nothing's really been fixed, speedrunning it has helped me see it in a different light. It can be enjoyed single player by lonely losers who like playing their party game single player. Like me, I'm not loser. Okay, name calling aside, I was very mean of me, I'm sorry. Party games are really fun single player, and genuinely seeing this one be broken down and optimized to a point where we can almost clear it in under an hour and a half without multiplayer cheese is so fascinating, interesting, and, most importantly, fun to me. I can't wait to come back to running this, and even if I stop running single player entirely after I get a decent time, it sure made for one heck of a video. I don't think I quite made it to that esteemed hour-long mark, but regardless, thank you all so much for watching until the very end, and a double thank you once again to my head-patting Fluffle-fan Puptrins, Biohazard, and Dips Fiora. Being a Puptrin is amazing. Now, with the video over, what do we do? I don't know, I guess I'll just run Magoland again, why not? I'm Claire Fluffle, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you around. Bye!